Liam, what do Manchester City do? They're 9-0 up. What sort of team should they put out?
I think whatever they do, they're well within their rights to do it. If they want to make a lot of changes, they're 9-0 up, and with them being 4 points behind Liverpool in the Premier League, they've still got the Champions League to fight for. You know, it's going to take a miracle for them to not get through into the League Cup final. You know, I think there was a lot made of their performance in the first game, but for me, that was the ultimate in professionalism. You play and beat what's in front of you, and you do it to the best of your ability all of the time. So it's going to be interesting now that you've earned the 9-0 lead. For me, if I was in Pep Guardiola's shoes, I would change the team. They've got so many other competitions to go for. Liverpool are flying at the moment on great form. They've got to stay with them. If a De Bruyne or a Silva or a Aguero play at Burton and get injured, that's going to be more costly to them in the long term than making sure that they rack up another massive scoreline.
When you said a lot was made of their performance in the first leg, what are you alluding to?
I think people questioned whether they should have took their foot off the gas, which I find ridiculous. I find it absolutely ridiculous. I think it would have been... Burton have done incredibly well to get to the semi-final in the first place. I think it's a lack of respect to ever think you can take your foot off the gas. I thought it was a... Well, when they played that game, the next morning, I was on the training ground with my players with under 23. So did you watch the game? That's the ultimate in professionalism. Doesn't matter what you're up against. You play to the best of your ability all of the time. You train to the best of your ability all of the time. So I think it was almost a masterclass in what Pep Guardiola is about. It doesn't matter what the opposition is. You play at your maximum throughout a game.
Before we move it on to the second leg, Stuart, what do you make of the criticism in some quarters then, or the observation, if you like, that perhaps City could have, I don't know, called the dogs off at 6?
I think criticism of that nature comes from people who have never played the game at a really serious level and not played to a level of professionalism that I think you should play to. I remember when I was at Nottingham Forest, we beat Aston Villa 6-0, and to be fair, I'd sort of took my foot off the gas during the game, and Brian Clough gave me the biggest dressing down in my life. What are you doing? You know, I said, well, we're winning 5-0. Well, what was the point? He said, if we're winning 5, we go and get a 6th. If we're winning 6, we go and get a 7th. And that's the level of professionalism that you should instill in yourself as a person and in your players personally.
Would it actually have been disrespectful, as Liam says, to Burton Albion had they not done that?
The one thing I liked about Manchester City on the night, he wanted to get his work done for the home leg, and he done that by his team selection. The performance of the players was of a nature that there was no showboating in any of the players with their performance. They went out there and done a professional job. There was no olays from the crowd, none of that. It was professional, it was workmanlike, and it was respectful to the opposition, in my eyes.
So what should they do for the second leg?
Whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. If it was me, I'd be looking after players. They've got they've been drawn at home, luckily, in the FA Cup on Saturday, I think it is. But they've got Burnley, who'll make it very difficult for him and very stodgy. He's earned the right to play whatever team he wants come tomorrow night. So, listen, he'll pick a side and he'll put his side out. As Liam mentioned earlier, he'll put a side out to win the game. They'll want to win this second leg, no matter what team they put on the pitch, and get something out of it for all the players concerned that take part, whether it be Foden or younger players, it doesn't matter. He'll want to win the game.
Is it a nonsense argument then if I say, well, taking into account what you said about the first leg, surely he should want to win the second leg by as much as possible as well?
And he will do. He will do. He'll want to win the game, but his job as a manager is to win as many competitions as possible. That's his remit. His first job is to fight Liverpool away for the title, regain a title, and Liverpool are going out outstandingly well. And I think it would be really poor management if you're 9-0 up in the first leg. Your job is to get through to the final. Now, they're going to get through. So why would you risk playing players who might have knocks, strains, niggles? Every player in January goes through knock, strains. We've been talking about a winter break for ages. To put them in a League Cup semi-final where you're already through away from home, it just doesn't make any sense.
What about Burton? I mean, Nigel Clough said today, listen, our target is just to score a goal. If we can score a goal, that'd be a massive achievement. How did they approach this?
Well, I was sat in the press conference afterwards, and I think both managers spoke really, really well. And Nigel turned round and said, listen, he he focused on the semi-final achievement, and Burton Albion getting to their first semi-final. You know, this is a non-league club of a few years ago. When I was a non-league player, Burton was certainly not in the top division of non-league clubs. So it shows how far the club have come. And when you have bad days like that, you can learn so much from them. The good days, Man City wouldn't have probably learnt a great deal in a 9-0 victory. I would suggest that Burton, going forward, will learn a great deal from that, and their players will, about what standards you've got to achieve. And they made some mistakes in the game, and they repeated those mistakes during the game that cost them too many goals. Hopefully, that, you know, they can sit down, look at the game and say, look, we've got a tie. It might be meaningless, but to us as individuals and professionals, it isn't.
Do you think the Burton camp will be completely relaxed or slightly worried, or a bit of both?
I think a little bit of both. I think for any player getting to a cup semi-final, it's a huge achievement. They'll have their families there. They want to do them proud. The fans, it's a huge occasion for them just to be there. So I think there's an element of relax. I think you have to play well. You have to be relaxed. You have to be competitive. You have to want to win the game. But when you're relaxed, you go and play your best football normally. So I expect them to go. I expect them to give a really good account of themselves tomorrow, because Nigel Clough's done an outstanding job there, an absolutely outstanding job from being there, and he'll want them to show their true selves at home against a top team.
Do you think they can get something out of it?
What do you mean, get something out? Get through? Or
No. Well, just to put that in perspective, I did check, the bookmakers are not even taking bets on them going through.
Yeah, well, that says it all. But
they're 14 to 1 to win the game tomorrow.
I can't see it. I can't see it. But that's why we love football. The uncertainty of the game, the uncertainty of a cup tie. It'll be a cup tie atmosphere. Still, I'm sure the Burton fans will get right behind the team. They'll want to see them put on a really good performance, and it's going to be really interesting. Maybe we'll see some outstanding young players playing for Manchester City tomorrow. It'll be really interesting for Pep to see them in a high-pressure atmosphere where they're expected to win away from home.
I think, what is a good result for Burton Albion?
A draw or more, personally. You've got to understand as well, Nigel was missing a few of his key players. You know, Quinn was missing, Sordell was missing. When you take the big boys on, you need a full squad to pick from. Hopefully he'll have 1 or 2 players back that were missing. I think Quinn in the centre of the pitch, he knows the game, he's been around the block a little bit. He'll offer advice to 1 or 2 of the youngsters in the ranks as well. But I think if they got a draw out of the game or a low-scoring victory out of the game, they'd be absolutely delighted. And if Man City ring the changes and they're 5% down, I was at the game when they beat Burton in the earlier rounds as well. Bear in mind, they've knocked Forest out, they've knocked Villa out. They've turned some teams over, and I think the biggest problem Burton had was not getting drawn at home first. They needed the first leg at home to give themselves something to hang on to when they went to Manchester City, and they didn't get that.